Hello everybody, welcome to the episode 76 of the Contest Round podcast. We're back everybody, okay. So we're available on YouTube, SoundCloud and Spotify and iTunes podcasts as well. And we're back. I'm feeling a little bit rusty. Dan's here. By the way, if you want to catch Dan, you want to catch up all the information when it comes to what's going around in the community, guides and everything you need to know, go to www.frontlinemcoc.home.blog. Link is in the bios, and also follow Dan on @frontlinemcoc on Twitter. Dan, we're back. We're a bit scuffed, but we're back for episode 76.
Yeah, we're back. Plenty to talk about. Lots going on in the community, so it's good to be catching up on the podcast.
Yeah, poor Dan has not been too well. Last week you literally could not speak. You had the sorest of throats.
I did. It was one of those where I could say a sentence and then have a coughing fit for a minute and a half, so it wouldn't have been a very good podcast.
Yeah. And for me, I'm still kind of burnt out, but I was burnt out last week. I think the biggest problem that comes to the first 2 weeks of the month, especially with MCOC, and more so if there's been stuff that's not gone too well, or stuff
like this month,
like this month, it does feel very draining. And
yeah,
I must admit, like, I flagged, what are we on now? We are on week number 3. So by about the 15th, so last week, I just completely dead, ready to
I think this was a pretty taxing side quest as far as like all the questions and the why isn't this working and what do we do. So I can totally understand why you feel that way.
I also made it's not a mistake, it's like one of these things where at the start of the month I didn't have much work on like sponsorship wise, and I decided to put the feelers out about stuff. And I, as a result, then kind of had like, I think it was by about the 13th, I was like, oh, well, I'm not getting much work in, but that's okay because I've been working hard on the MCOC stuff. And then on the Thursday, Friday, I then got like exponential amounts of emails like, oh, do you want to do this? Can you promote that? And then I was like, oh, Christ. So,
which is all good, but you've got to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like, then stuff happens and I'm like, right, well, then I felt a bit burnt out with MCOC, so I then kind of like said, oh, I do this, and I'm like, oh, sugars, I'm contractually obligated to do these things that I've signed up for, and I'm like, oh, great, well, now like every single MCOC news is going to have a sponsor for the next, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday or something.
Yeah, and it wasn't exactly a dry week for MCOC. Like a lot of times in the middle of the month, nothing's going on, but we had buff releases, we had AQ season 9, so there was a fair amount of news this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Both buffs look okay. There will be the point of test, like is it 1st or 2nd of November when they go live?
I would imagine, looking at the calendar, that it is probably the 1st. It's either the 1st or the 2nd. Though.
Yeah.
Because the new, we should be getting the patch the 1st or the 2nd because the new event quest will start November 3rd. So that's right.
Well, that's good. I like the Nebula one. I think I like it because it's like there's not much has changed. I'm not saying there's not like much change with Karnak, but I just kind of like the way of rotations and kind of playing with the champion, which seems to be quite good.
They gave her a few nice bonuses now, like she's fully shock immune instead of that limited shock immunity that she had before that would run out because there's a lot more shock in the game than when she debuted. And I do like what they did with her sustain, where they're taking that out of the SIG ability and putting it in her base kit.
Yeah, that's
so
good. So
she's got a lot more regen now, and I think that's going to be interesting to see if you could really spam her special too, because that's where the damage is. Because now she's got that additional combat power rate in her SIG ability.
Yeah.
If the opponent is suffering from a shock debuff, which they pretty much always should be.
Yeah.
So that's good. And I think another thing that's nice is when you're building her charges, they reduce the timer on how long you have to hold block. So it's it's just little tweaks, but it seems to, on paper it makes her more friendly.
Yeah.
So I haven't played a ton of Nebula. I don't have a 6-star. My 5-star is not ranked up, but I know she does have her fans out there. So hopefully she's a little easier to use for all you people that really like playing Nebula.
Yeah, I agree. And that's the thing, like, will it be a case that people will pair up with Proxima Midnight, which they did before, or they'll just kind of use us as solo champion of rotation? So it's good.
Yeah.
We're coming to a point, or will we get to a point actually, of a lot of these older champions becoming or having worth, and that's going to be a thing as well. I was a bit disappointed not to see any Karnak Synergies. Because that's one thing. It's like we have the Inhuman royal family, but he didn't seem to kind of like benefit from any new synergies or any kind of like pair ups. He's just got enemies level 3, family level 3, teammates level 3, and other teammates rather than anything unique for the champion.
I know, and I do enjoy a good unique synergy, especially where there's some obvious ones. To tie him to with the Inhuman, Inhuman royal family. I mean, you could have updated that. Like Black Bolt could use a little more help, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
But this is an interesting buff because this is if you read his kit right now in game, he doesn't have much.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
There's a new signature ability, the same thing with Nebula. He's had something kind of integrated into him, with the new signature ability being about begin to fight with one focus charge. Additional, his basic attacks are enhanced to the following ways: ignore 100% of the opponent's positive physical resistance, and striking the opponent's block grants Karnak 10% of the power an unblocked attack would have granted. And it's like, I'm not a massive fan of hitting to blocks unless I'm using something like Massacre or Corvus for the purpose of it. So I wonder if this is going to be another kind of invade node option, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, it would be more useful if he had an unblockable special.
Yes,
because then you could use the power. It's like you're close to say the special one was unblockable. If you were close to that bar of power, you could hit into block, get the unblockable special, and then throw the unblockable special.
Yeah.
I mean, you can always do that with the SP3. I don't know how useful that's going to be. With Karnak, I think I'm watching this one because I do have a duped 6-star that I don't use. And I'm just wondering if all of this adds up to feels good damage.
Yeah.
Because that's what it seems to be about. There's certainly more going on. I do like the increased timer on the True Strike, because I think when Karnak was made, no one really cared about True Strike. It was just kind of a throw-in, like, oh, you can get some more damage with True Strike. It's 8.5 seconds right now. And then all these champions like Medusa and Iron Man Infinity War with Autoblock came out, and MODOK. I was like, hey, I really want uptime on that True Strike. That's important. So having that go from 8.5 to 15 seconds on the SB1, where you could probably have reliable uptime on that SB1, is pretty good. I think they've updated the SB2, so you don't have to worry about the lost health of the opponent. So that's nice. I think the big thing for me is, because I don't run suicides and he's clearly built to run with suicides now.
Yeah.
I just wonder if the damage is going to be there without suicides, because when they've got a champion where the dev is like, run this with suicides, is like, all right, well, then you're probably basing his damage on how it feels with suicides and not without. And I don't tend to run suicide, so that may end up being the deal breaker for me with Karnak. But for those of you that do run those S-word masteries, maybe he'll be a good time.
Yeah, I have considered switching to them. It's just like, you never know. 1 month that you might have to like switch them back again. I'm more like looking forward to, well, when eventually Kabam are able to do this, the preset mastery switches. That would be honestly just amazing. Whether or not you could do that,
a game changer.
Yeah, if you could do that,
sure.
say per, I don't know, per fight, not per fight. I think would they do it per. would they allow, or would it be good for per fight? I mean, yeah, we'd all love it to like say, okay, well, one fight I'm going to do suicides, next fight non-suicides because the nodes. But then it's like I don't know if it's going to be a bit of a difficulty for Kabam to then create extensive shifting of nodes, because then it will mean that when you come in to do any kind of content, it'd be like, okay, well, I've got this one switched to have suicides, but then if I'm kind of uncollected and I haven't invested fully into like suicide masteries, and it's an expensive unit spend to get to that point, or then cavalier, so you've never done it before. There's a lot of things that got to consider when doing that. I've unlocked them all before. Have you unlocked all of them before?
I haven't unlocked Liquid Courage.
Right. Okay.
So I've done Double Edge, but not Liquid Courage.
Well, that's fine. There's something Kabam should kind of look into down the line. I mean, they have really had their hands full over the summer. We're
probably not getting the mastery update anytime soon.
No, because I thought it was meant to be September. We'd start hearing about relics. I thought I remember reading in a dev diary, but I need to kind of maybe return back to that to see if that was the case.
Yeah, my guess is that the issues over the summer have pushed quite a few things back.
Yeah, that's the sad side of things.
Unfortunately, the reality. I will say one last thing on the buffs. It doesn't look like we're going to be running into any defensive nightmare scenarios here, which is nice. Because some of these updates, like recently clearing variant 7, like that Miles boss is a little bit different
than
it was when it was released, I'm betting. And there was a guillotine in there that, I went in, sleepwalked in with my human torch and got destroyed because of her new defensive kit. So these buffs sometimes can create some real headaches in older content for newer players.
Do you think at that state that they should kind of go by the theory of Labyrinth of Legends, Abyss of Legends, and somewhat to a degree Realm of Legends, where they've kept them the same older build when it comes to, say, animations and rotations and stuff?
No, I don't know that that's necessarily good for the game, but I do think some of these, they have to get looked at sometime.
Yeah.
Understand that there's not going to be the same thing. I think for the newer players that don't have the context of, like, why is this guillotine versus different than the other guillotine? Like, I don't know. That seems confusing too. So I guess there's no good answer there.
No, absolutely. Oh, do you know, I just kind of like think of like what a week it is. It has certainly been, especially with having like the map 8 and Quest 9 stuff.
Yeah, AQ Season 9. What's funny is last time we did the podcast a couple weeks ago, this came up, right? Like, is there going to be a new AQ season? And we're like, yeah, probably this fall. And we didn't have a heads up on that. But we were right. We were right. Season 8 is on the way, November 19th. So you got a little bit of time. Map 8 looks interesting. If I had time, I would be interested in playing some Map 8. I do actually enjoy high level AQ. I think the map looks pretty good as far as the, not too many link nodes, and there's at least multiple people that can take the link nodes down.
Yeah.
I wish that Path 2 didn't have 10 lanes. I've been someone that's pushed for lane reduction, and that there should never be 10 lanes in a battle group. I just think it causes real life issues for people that are unnecessary. I don't think at the highest levels of AQ you're gonna just be carrying slackers who don't run lanes. I think 9 is enough, Rich. 9 is enough. You should have a backup in case someone has a real life issue that does happen, and it shouldn't ruin 8 days worth of work for people.
No, that's true. It definitely does look like it's interesting enough. I don't know if we're going to run it. It may be one of these things where you could maybe run it with no multipliers for like a day one type thing. As a kind of like, okay, well, is it going to be...
Day one's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
because the top guys have to run it with the mods. Like if you're top 20 AQ, day one it's epic mods map 8. Like you're just jumping in and you're crossing your fingers.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I'll kind of see what the points gain is with day one, and I had to take it from there. Really, it's just the cost. Not very clear on the cost because it says on here total shown per battle group per day cost wise for tickets. So map 6 equals 0, map 7 equals 150, map 8 is 300, which says 150 tickets per player per week.
So that's the current cost of map 7.
Okay, right.
So it's 30 tickets a day. So think of it this way. Map 6 is now free. Map 7 is going to cost what map 6 costs now, and map 8 is going to cost what map 7 does now. So there's really no change. It just shifted up a map. Right. I think there was an error in the post, and people saw the 300 and thought the 300 was per player
per day.
Per battle group per day. So 30 times 10, the 30 of a player times the 10 of the battle group equals 300, and if you're playing map 8, it's 30 times 5 for your week, 150, which is what you're paying for map 7 now. But yes, that was a big worry that if the cost of map 8 was double what map 7 was, that people would have been spending a lot on AQ tickets because I don't know if you can grind all those resources every week.
Yeah, that's true.
That would have been pretty crazy, but I think hopefully people have been saving up their tickets, but I think that's a rude reawakening because AQ's been free during the Summer of Fun in MCOC. I don't think people miss that element of the game.
Exactly. I think that's a good reminder. I think that's something to kind of like to kind of point out to people. It's like, look, you've got to think about start buying your tickets. So I'll kind of like, I think that's a good idea for a vid.
Start buying them now because they scale with cost.
Yeah.
So you can buy, if you buy half a week now, it's cheaper than, if you buy half a week now and a half a week worth next week, that's going to cost you less than buying a full week at once.
Yeah, so I definitely got to get on with buying buying now. Just like buy whilst we record. I'm like, ooh, should be buying.
Yeah, and if you remember when we were making predictions last time, we were talking about how chase resources would make their way into Alliance Quest rewards. and do you see what there is in the rank rewards, Rich?
Oh, there it is.
Tier 3 Alpha. Who saw that coming? A 25% T5CC a week.
Yeah, we
rank 3s for days, Rich. At the top.
Absolutely. It does make me kind of feel like our alliance should be trying to like push up a little bit higher than what we chart, and we do map 7 5 days a week, but sometimes we do, sometimes we don't run the modifiers. Just to give us a bit of ease. Especially as people in the alliance kind of build their rosters up, build their strength up, and kind of like, say if we're not, a lot of us are kind of running still 6 stars at rank 3 and kind of going, okay, well this is, we're punching a bit more kind of on our attack and whatever. But what are we getting, like position like 280 something or over, or 240 or something? So it's not super high, but I think we should now start really thinking about the future and kind of trying to make some gains.
Yeah, I mean, even if you stay where you are, you're going to be moving up to the equivalent of that 46 to 90 bracket where you're going to get, right now I think you'd be getting that 10% T5CC a week.
Yeah.
So you're getting a nice rewards bump even if you stay in the same place. I think there's going to be some real incentive for those people in the 46 to 90 to try to push into the top 45 because that's the cutoff of where you're getting the rank 4 resources. So that's going to get brutal. God,
yeah. It's going to be a real scrap because people want that chase resource, man, is
that's what people get hungry for, especially you go into we're a month out from Cyber Weekend. We're probably 6 or 7 weeks out from the start of everyone's favorite, the gifting event.
Oh yeah.
So November, December, usually a crazy time in MCOC. So
Hell yeah.
a lot to deal with there. But we've covered some of the fun stuff, the rewards buff, the new map. I mean, all this stuff about cross fights. Like, we're just gonna have to see how it works. Reading this on paper, it's like, okay, like how's that gonna feel? Is that gonna really help, or is it gonna be meaningless? We don't know. We didn't. It's not going to be a null based boss meta. So
No.
they're going with the Spider-Verse stuff.
Yeah. It's annoying not to kind of like have that, but then it's good in some ways, because then it's all about kind of finding adequate counters for things, and kind of going like, okay, Penny Park isn't too bad, but then you never know what Kabam could put on that champion or those minis. So
yeah, she's tanky. So
she is.
You gotta have a plan there. Yeah, Penny Parker, final boss of Map 7. Spider-Man 2099, final boss of Act 6. And Map 8 is going to rotate, or is it? Oh, all 3 variations have the same final and mini bosses in Map 8. So that's a Nimrod mini with 2 final bosses, Spider-Man 2099 and Penny Parker. So that's going to be different too.
Yeah. Well, I have to kind of like, yeah, I think that's going to be okay. I don't know whether or not this is going to be. Well, we've got Bubble Shield, use it or lose it, cut from first section. It's just one of these things that go like, okay, right. Spider-Man 2099, debuffs, kinetic transference. There's a lot of
transference. I'm not a fan of.
No,
that gets me in trouble sometimes.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Just kind of like, okay, well, what are we doing? Penny Parker's got heavy assault with map 8. Oh no, map 7 as well.
Yep.
So there's a lot of kind of like things to go like, oh, well, that's weird. Oh, Magneto House of X got Mighty Charge. On the variant 3, Sasquatch. I'm reading map 7 now. There's a lot of kind of like really. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's one of these things where you got to play well. Just play well.
Yeah, you gotta play well. You gotta play well, especially in map 8, because no Corvus cheese anymore.
No, that's
no
sad, but yeah.
No, I don't mean to be a negative Nelly about this, but they're saying they're keeping it for maps 1 through 7 right now, but they won't for map 8. Kabam, that seems like a recipe for something not working day one.
Yeah.
You're telling me, like, you're telling us it's a bug and you're going to fix it for one map and not the other maps? Like, I don't know. I see an issue coming with this. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like the kind of thing that gets messed up.
Absolutely. This is the thing for me, is it goes down to, I don't know, with Kabam, I always feel like trust is something of an issue where you kind of go like, okay, well, yeah, this month I'm putting trust in Kabam that this will go right. But then it's like by the end of the month, I'm like, okay, well, have I lost my trust for them to get something out? And then it's like the next month, I'm like, I'm rooting for you. I got like my foam finger on, going, come on, you can do it. And then it's like,
can do it.
And then I up and down with it. So when this goes in with a new AQ, God, I hope that number one, we don't get that stupid kind of like nobody can access the new AQ, which happened for the start of season 8, I want to say. That is the season we're currently on. So when they first started off, there was like problems, and as a result, they had to down it, and then they stopped it, then they had to reintroduce it again. Actually, did it happen with 8.5?
Yeah, I think it had to do with the enlistment.
Right, enlistment, yes.
Enlistment timers got screwed up. Yeah. Yeah, that was a mess, though. Yeah, that, I mean, new AQ makes me nervous. I mean, God bless the folks that go in with the toughest mods on a new map day one of a new AQ season. Like, and to be an officer
Yeah.
Oh boy, I mean, just is that a work day? Like, put in your comp time request now,
Yeah.
because you're going to be busy on November 19th. That is a Friday. I would just if you're playing map 8, just block out that whole weekend. Don't plan anything, because I think your line chat is going to be very busy that week. But yeah, I mean, the Corvus thing, like, when this came out that this was a bug, and this is something we've known for a long time, for over a year, and this kind of dates back to like pre-roadmap almost. And I don't think when that originally came out, Kabam understood quite like how the map design and the fights had led people in this direction, because the Corvus timeout method is not fun. Like, it is boring, it is bad for the game. Like, you don't want to use it, because like, why would you want to play the game for 15 seconds and then sit there for 2 minutes and 45 seconds and just wait? Like, it's not good for the game. But it was a function of you only can bring in 3 players. It's very specific counters needed, especially for some of the map 7s before the revision. And potion and revive costs were super expensive.
Yeah.
And you get that combination of AQ is about not screwing up. Like, if you're playing map 7 and you don't finish your lane, you're getting kicked from your alliance. Like, that's the bottom line, right? So there was this huge fear factor in there that that and the potion costs, I think, all led to this Corvus method of like, well, this is safe. Like, it's like, I'd rather take more time and not risk getting kicked than like try to learn these fights, because the downside was too severe. So I think they've done a good job of understanding that. They've certainly given us some time.
Yeah.
I mean, at least with map 8, where it's like, if it works as intended, where they're taking it away from map 8, like, no one's ever played map 8 before. So it's not like you're losing something there, and it's understood and stated going in, and everyone's got a month to prepare. So I like that. I mean, overall, I'd like to see it go away, just because I don't think it's fun, and games should be fun. But I absolutely understand why people felt like they needed it before. And it was a key component to strategy, especially with some of these bosses, where it's like, okay, like, how is this supposed to be soloed? Like, let's be honest. How is this supposed to be done with a 3-minute timer and these potion costs? Like, and like, you can call it a bug, but I don't know, man. It's I think AQ's in a much better place than when this was first brought up pre-roadmap, and the game was in a very fragile state. Not that it's in the best state right now, but
No.
I don't think it's quite the roadmap level of issue.
Yeah, that's true. So, good luck to everybody that's starting off their grind in November 19th.
Yes, good luck to you, brave souls.
Yeah. Apart from that, I don't think there's much going on. I think next week we'll have a lot to talk about. But there's something
next week we'll have release notes, yeah.
Exactly. Let's talk a little bit about the Black Widow movie. So I finally got around to watching it. And now we can talk about what this movie has done. Is it changing anything? Is it giving us any stuff? By the way, spoilers if you haven't.
Yeah, spoilers. Yeah, hopefully you've seen it. It's been out for like 4 months now. So
yeah,
I feel like we're safe.
Where do we really begin with this? This is between the events of Civil War and Infinity War. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yep, that's right.
And it's kind of going back on old territory for Natasha Romanoff, and a mystery that kind of goes from start to finish, that is revealed at the end. But something that haunts her is an assassination that went wrong.
Yeah. I think I think the intention of the movie is supposed to be like, this is her unfinished business. This is what's been hinted about the red in her ledger, and trying to clean that up. So I think that was the idea, and sort of to flesh out her backstory and to introduce her quote unquote family.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, for me it was fine.
Yep.
Like there was parts of it I liked. I will say I think David Harbour and as Red Guardian, he probably steals the movie in a way. As the comic relief, he has some really nice character moments. I think introducing Yelena as a new Black Widow, I think she's really interesting going forward. I think she's probably the one bit of this movie, especially with jumping ahead to the final scene. Like, all right, she's what we're getting going forward. I think my big issue with the movie was just I don't think it was set up with a villain that made things interesting enough for Natasha to overcome.
No.
I didn't like the treatment of Taskmaster, and it had nothing to do with changing the character from a man to a woman. It had to do with the fact that Taskmaster doesn't talk.
Yeah.
and I don't like silent villains. I think silent villains are really boring, and you need to know their motivation. And if you read the comics, Taskmaster talks a lot. Like he's often with Deadpool. Like he's a merc. He's a proud merc. He will tell you how he's gonna beat you, and then he will beat you.
Yeah.
Right? Like he talks a lot of crap in the comics. So that's what I want from Taskmaster. So like, you if you're gonna set the Taskmaster up as like he or she or Taskmaster knows your moves. Taskmaster's seen you and Steve Rogers in every Avenger fight, and that's how Taskmaster's gonna beat you. Like, let's talk about that, and let's see that cockiness on screen versus a brainwashed Black Widow is what we got. Like, I don't think that's not the character. Like, I don't think that did the character any justice, and I don't think it made the movie interesting, because it's like, okay, like I'm gonna unbrainwash Taskmaster with some mist and game over. Like, I want to see you like beat the unbeatable super soldier in a fight.
Yeah.
Like that's what I want. Like I want to see like, okay, this is set up as a really difficult challenge. Like, how do I beat this unbeatable hand-to-hand fighter? And that is talking crap and thinks that they're better than me. Like I don't know. That's what I wanted from the character, and that's not really what I got. And in that way, I think the movie suffers a bit from the same problems as like Thor: The Dark World does and Doctor Strange does, where it's like, if I can't see where the villain's coming from, like, where's the conflict?
Yeah.
It's like, why does everyone love Loki? Because Loki's the best talker. Like that's my thing. Like the villain has to be a great talker. I think like it's very hard to do the ominous and silent villain well, because you don't get their perspective and motivation. So that was my main issue with the movie. It's just like not an interesting enough villain.
Yeah, it kind of like turns into like the Terminator, like the first Terminator movie.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, it's fun because it's like the first time you've seen it, but then nowadays you kind of like, you want to look for purpose, and especially with the a lot of the other Marvel films is you feel like you understand the purpose of their actions, rather than it being having to explain to you of their purpose, or the puppeteer and the puppet situation, which is what we got with the story in Black Widow.
Yeah, and actually that's such a great comparison to like the Taskmaster setup and say like Terminator 1, right? So Terminator 1, Arnold says like what? Like 2 things in the movie.
Sakana.
Right? I'll be back.
Sakana.
But you've got Kyle Reese talking about how terrifying the
Yeah.
Terminator is, right? Like you've got this guy that like his whole life obsession is like, I need to escape, this Terminator will get us. We cannot defeat this. Like that's explained. Like you've got a few actions where the Terminator shows you how
Yeah.
bad he is, but you've also you spend the whole movie building up how bad the Terminator is. Like, and that's Taskmaster doesn't get the same sort of development just because there's so much else going on, and there's more characters, and we've got to do Red Guardian jailbreak, and we've got to meet the mutant super pig that we can turn off its breathing with an iPad.
Yeah.
Like there's just not the time to develop the character, unfortunately.
Yeah. Apart from that, and I was just thinking if there's any standouts. Did we really get any idea of like what happened in Budapest?
Well, no, because not really.
All I hear is that there was a flat, and then there was a couple of bullets bullet marks in the plasterboard. And
yeah, it was more hinted at. I mean, maybe we'll get a little more, because it looks like Yelena's going after Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Which now that I'm on board for. That sounds like fun. It's interesting. We're getting I forget the Contessa character, the same one.
Yeah.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
That's it.
Who showed up at the end of Captain America and the Winter Soldier and recruited
John Walker.
John Walker. She's recruiting Yelena, so this could be some sort of a Thunderbolts type team. We'll see. But that's interesting to me. Maybe we get something with Taskmaster down the line. Like, she's still out there unbrainwashed. Maybe she does decide, like, all right, the only thing for me to do is become a merc, and she becomes the Taskmaster that we're more used to in the comics, as far as, like, I would say, like, Taskmaster in the comics, like, is merc and proud, like, I'm a mercenary, I kill people for money, it's what I do, I'm very good at it. Like, I think he actually, like, gets mad at Deadpool for not taking it as seriously as he does. Like, that's where Taskmaster's coming from. Although he eventually gets, like, recruited and, like, trains like with the Thunderbolts and stuff like that. So I don't know. There's some possibilities there, but I would, I guess to use one of your favorite phrases, it was fine.
It was fine. It was fine. I wonder what then the future will hold for Red Guardian and I can't remember what Rachel Weisz's
Melina.
Melina, that's it. What they'll do, because they're basically taken in new Black Widows and Taskmaster underneath their wing, so to speak, to I don't know whether or not they're going to do mercenary work, or they're going to unbrainwash, or have a happy family. God only knows what's going to happen with all that stuff.
I would say it would be great to see David Harbour show up as Red Guardian if they continue the super soldier stories in Captain America and the Winter Soldier, because clearly he's harboring some sort of how do you know what you call it? Like he thinks he fought Captain America even though he didn't. Like, what happens if Zemo gets him in his crosshairs? Like, that could be really interesting. Down the line. So I think there's a few spots where I think we're definitely going to see Yelena again. They've pretty much told us we are. But I wouldn't mind seeing Red Guardian again. I think he was a fun character.
Yeah, it's wonder if they kind of go a bit too much in, like, the Russian stuff and start bringing in, like, Omega Red, and maybe kind of look to pairing up.
Oh yeah, and bring in what's the name of there's a Russian Avengers.
Yeah, there is.
But they're mostly mutants.
Because they talked about him referring to him as the Crimson Dynamo. From what I remember, is it meant to be that he has that robotic suit or something? Yes.
Yeah. There's a Russian Crimson Dynamo hero on that on the Russian Avengers team.
Yeah. Isn't there like a big bear or something as well?
There is a bear. Yeah. I think it's like Ursa Major or something like that.
Yeah.
And there's a mutant called Darkstar that's got some cool powers. Omega Red would be how awesome would it? It's tough to do Omega Red without Wolverine though.
Yeah, that is true.
Those two are tied together so well. But that'd be cool because that's, Omega Red's an X-Men villain that we never got to see in the Fox series. So that would be something new.
Yeah.
And it would be really cool to see. So yeah, I could see them all being, tied together. That could be interesting for me. So yeah, I'm all right with that. So, I think all in all, it was an okay movie with the potential for some solid jumping off points for a few characters. But yeah, I think the Taskmaster thing, that was what disappointed me.
Yeah, I guess what we'll have to do is look out for Hawkeye next month to see if Yelena.
If she shows up, I'm very excited for Hawkeye. I like the trailer. I like the setup. Looks pretty cool. So it's gonna be fun to get back to the weekly Disney Plus dose of Marvel that we've been missing in our lives.
Yeah, exactly. 2 episodes of it. Right. Let's move on and talk about other games. What have you been playing? Have you been playing anything?
Yeah, I mean, Marvel Realm continues to be slow. So they did an update a couple weeks ago, and they introduced the 1v1 PvP, which I was very hopeful for, and I liked the setup of like, all right, say like I'm gonna go in as Sorcerer Supreme. I get to pick my Hulk and my Black Panther, whoever I want, right? Like I get to pick from my team, so I get to pick my 2 teammates, and of course they've got my gear, so that's great. And I'm going to play someone else, some other one person with their control player and their 2 teammates, right?
Yeah.
But it's all bots, Rich. You can't get a match against a person, and not only that, the bots are super overtuned, like you can't win a round, never mind a battle. Like they overshot it so completely.
This is sad.
Unplayable. It was really sad. They missed. This was like the one thing that was like, okay, you're going to be able to gain battle rating here. Like it takes you out of the matchmaking and like worrying about teammates. And you have more control, and they missed so hard. It was really sad.
This is the thing with Realm. Like, I had a lot of high hopes for it, but then it's just a case of like how well they do, and not saying the damage is being done, but then sometimes you kind of feel like, well, like
in some ways it has.
Yeah.
In some ways it has. Like this was a rough one to swallow because at least personally, like I was like, okay, like I think this is going to be my new game mode. I think this is going to solve some of the problems. And it's like, not only did it not solve the problems, it created new problems. And it's a game mode that like anyone that's just casually popping in after 2 times is going to be like, this is not fun.
No, exactly.
Like, this is unwinnable. Like these are unwinnable fights. They miss so hard that it's like, you just have to be like, you just have to scratch your head and be like, did you guys look at this? Like, what happened here?
Yeah. Well, this is my concern, like when we come to New York Comic Con 2022, because I do hope that me and Emma are able to attend. What kind of like, will there be any kind of like booth? Will there be any kind of effort? Because as much as I like the game, I'm sad about where it turned out. My last interaction with Kabam was, I want to say, March, April time, before the release of Thor, or around about the time of release of Thor, and there was questions that I had that I just felt like they weren't properly being answered and didn't really get a representation on matchmaking and stuff like that. And that's the thing that kind of made me feel that I was not impressed with the way that Kabam have been handling the game, and even then hearing about 2 months ago 2 months ago that they were trying to like redo the game in some kind of way, was like, Okay, why is that now sudden need to change it? Is it because, people aren't coming in to play quite so much? And especially the amount of effort that they have to do in order to build certain things, more so than Marvel Contest, it makes you kind of like, I feel a little bit sorry for them, but at the same time it's like, well, you fall upon your own sword with this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know, Dan.
Yeah, I mean it's unfortunately it feels like a lot of missed opportunities, especially as far as the the matchmaking and things like that have that have plagued the game since the beginning. And then you've got a really slow character release schedule. Like, we haven't seen a new character since Thor in the spring, and that was kind of the one thing that re-energized the game, was that chase for Thor. They've hinted at Wolverine and King Groot and Vision, and maybe they don't want to release those characters until they feel like the base of the game is in a better state. But I think they're also, like, they're not giving the people that have stuck with it much to do either. Which is a problem.
It's like, I feel like we're going to come to a point of a year and the game is going to literally like re-release and kind of like have a new kind of promo. The thing is as well, with the way the game is being promoted, I didn't personally feel it gave any impression that it was overly exciting, and not to say like in a really bad, which is the way that other games are kind of like advertised, especially mobile games. You can get like a lot of kind of like good hype if you have a lot of kind of like overreactions, but kind of like interest in the PvP style of things, the kind of like the epic battling. But the way that it was kind of done is like animation vignette types delivery, which I just didn't think. It was like the Barons were kind of watching a fight play out, and it's like, well, you need to feel like you're the Baron watching, or you need to be feeling like you're the person in control with your device, that you're kind of like trying to smash out everything. But I still hope for the best with the game, but I think Kabam need to start really kind of thinking about how they're going to, or start delivering, because the game's been out a year and it's kind of not really accomplished much.
Yeah, it's tough. I'm looking at my alliance right now. I haven't looked at this in a while. There's only one player that's logged in within the last 4 days.
Jesus Christ.
So, and there's many, like, I haven't cleared this out in a while, but there's many that have gone many weeks without logging in. So it's like, but that's the thing, is like, like, I do find the combat fun. I like the characters. I like the art. I like the story, but there's not really much for me to do once I get my champions to defender tier. Like, Avenger tier doesn't seem really achievable. And for all the problems with MCOC, I'm still having a lot of fun with that game, and there's stuff to do. So it's kind of like, all right, well, I'm gonna wait and see. The thing I was waiting for didn't pan out with the game so far, which is super disappointing. So it's just one of those things. It's like, there's plenty of other stuff vying for my attention right now.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's the thing. What about over in Future Revolution? I haven't had time to jump into that one recently. How are you enjoying that?
Well, I'm really enjoying it. I think the biggest thing is, if you are, because a lot of the top end people are complaining that the game's dead, right? One of the main reasons they're kind of like doing that is like there's two faults. There's the player's fault and there's the developer's fault. So I'll quickly brush on the player's fault. The people that are saying that the game is dead and kind of like why it's the player's fault are people that overspend on the game. If you overspend on the game, or you spend too much, or if you spend, you are able to smack people at what I consider to be quite high in PvP with one hit. Now, that's the PvP side of things. That's the problem that has always been the case. The developers at fault because they allow that process in place, that people they don't normalize stats in PvP, which means that it becomes problematic the same way that realms become problematic. But the difference between Realm and the difference between Marvel Future Revolution is that their PvE is the best thing that's about the game. So there's only two things of PvP that are terrible, which is the dimensional duels, your 1v1, and the Omega War, which is your 6v6 or whatever number kind of participating even numbers fights. Those are the two things that are problematic. The other thing is like I'd say the developer needs to release Magic. She needs to be released next month, because that would be I think 2 months since she's been announced, and 3 months since the game's been out. If they can do a new hero every 3 months, or start getting into a better cycle of kind of putting out stuff, then that's fine. They've done new content. There's something that's out at the moment called Mad Titan Invasions, but at the same time that's a gated system. So I think the point I'm going to get round to is the game is all right. If you enjoy the game for the PvE aspect, which is what I do, exploring, taking down bosses, and kind of trying to slowly build up as I'm free to play, and I'm definitely seeing like PvP is not fun for me, but I like it. I like how I'm kind of like building. I like how I'm grinding. I don't feel at times I can keep it on auto fight, and at times I will have to use my playing. So I get the best of both worlds with that. So yeah, roll on Magic.
You're kind of taking that slow and steady, and just enjoying the story mode, and you're doing okay.
Yeah, I'm building as a lot of free to play players don't get up to a power rating of 700k. I'm at 703k. Got plenty of stuff still to do, because I don't spend, so I haven't really kind of demolished through stuff. But that's the thing, you can spend a little bit and get something. Thing is, Dan, they've got a good season pass to a point where if you spend £7.99, right, you do get a good amount of stuff for £7.99. I think you get the value of like about £20 to £30 in this, which is something that we said that if they had that in Realm right at the beginning, then it would have been, it would have been good to kind of start people spending and then start innovating. But it is what it is. Right, what are you up to next week, Dan?
Next week, I believe I have to venture into the cosmic horror.
Lovely.
Thankfully, someone just released a guide on the Summon Symbiote and how to tackle that quest.
I did it as a
perspective. You did.
Perspective as a rank 4, but I think Uncollected can get rank 4. I can't remember.
Yeah, so that's like my big thing. I gotta watch your video. I gotta I gotta build up my Summon Symbiote, run the side quests. So that's really my thing for next week. And then of course, as you are well aware, prepping for release notes and having everything ready to go for the embargo being lifted is always a bit of work.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about November, and I just want to finish up some of the October stuff, get ready for November, and I think November I'm going to be starting to get into Act 7.2 and eventually, hopefully, 7.3.
Yeah, that's same with me. Smash out December. I'm sure we've got lots of new content that we've got to go and do, but hey, it's all a lot of fun. Right, thank you everybody for listening to the podcast, and we will see you in episode 77, whenever that will be. Bye-bye, everybody.